Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. The Tissot PRX has been a massive hit for the brand since it launched only 3 years ago. A big Swiss brand offering an integrated bracelet watch that looks fantastic, is very well made and is really affordable. Here in Australia you can pick up a PRX for around 500 Aussie, that's about 335 USD or 255 British pounds. It is no wonder therefore that they have been so popular. And to capitalise on that popularity, Tissot has released rather a lot of different PRX models. Have a look at just how many are currently available for purchase on their website. And their release schedule and my reviewing schedule has followed a predictable pattern. First they released and I reviewed the 40mm quartz, then they released and I reviewed a 40mm auto, then they dropped a 35mm in quartz and I bought one and did a size comparison video. The next logical release and review therefore is an automatic version of the 35mm, and here we are. I got an email from William, an Aussie subscriber who has loaned me watches before. He said he was overseas and managed to pick up a green dial 35mm auto. Would I be keen to review it? And I said, yeah, damn right I would, William. Thank you very much indeed. So let's flip the camera and get on with it. Alright, I thought I'd do this one unboxing style, or should that be unbagging style? Thank you, William, you legend. You posted this one all the way from Tasmania and you posted it express for me. Give me a minute to take care of this. Now, I wasn't expecting this box actually. I was expecting something smaller, you know, the one with the pop-up Tissot factory. William did say he bought this from overseas, so perhaps that explains it. Or perhaps there is a factory lurking within. No, there is just a rather attractive green dialed 35mm Powermatic automatic PRX lurking within. Now, I'm sure you have seen this before, or at least you've seen the PRX before. I know I have. I've now looked at the 35mm in auto and quartz and the 40mm in auto and quartz. Two things we really need to discuss today. The first are the dimensions of this watch. The second is how it wears on wrist. So I thought, first of all, I would give you the dimensions and then I would get it on wrist. Having looked at all four, I'll also give you a kind of table today, a chart, if you will, of the vital statistics of all four of these watches, so you have a handy resource to compare and contrast should you be considering purchasing a PRX. But let's have a quick look at it first. It's a little cutie, isn't it? The automatics have that kind of tapisserie crossed hatch patterning on the dial. You can see a little bit of sunburst here as well under my studio lights. And it's a nice shade of green, flat sapphire crystal, date complication at the 3 with a frame, unlike the quartz ones which don't bother with the frame. Nice case on this one too, kind of fine brushing the mid case. There's some high polish chamfer transitioning. Couple of different finishing on the bezel, nicely integrated sapphire and a cute bracelet. You also get half link, so you are guaranteed a decent fit pretty much with this. No micro adjust though, because it is butterfly class style, but it is a fairly small watch, this one, nice and compact, doesn't weigh an awful lot either, so I think wearing it loose is going to be what most people choose to do. So the all-important dimensions, oddly enough it is 35mm in diameter, thickness of 11.3. Now lug to lug, I'm going to give you two measurements. I'm going to give you a case measurement, that being 39. I'm also going to give you an end of the first link measurement, that being 44. So it's kind of 39/44. It wears somewhere in between. These first links have got a tiny little bit of articulation in them. They do point downwards though, so yeah, it kind of wears in between those two sizes. Lug width is not applicable today. Sized up for William and conveniently enough sized up for me. This one weighs in at 103 grams. Crystal is flat sapphire. Not sure how much anti-reflective coating it has. 100 meters of water resistance from a push-pull crown, and as advertised on the dial, the movement is a Powermatic 80. So as I said, I have now looked at all four different versions of the three-hand PRX. These are their respective vital statistics. 40mm auto, oddly enough 40mm, 11.4 thick with a 44/51. First link lug to lug length, kind of wears somewhere like a high 40, 133 grams. The 40mm quartz is slimmer at 10.8, it has the same lug to lug, and it's 7 grams lighter at 126 grams. It wears very, very similarly therefore. The 35mm auto, as you can see, is much thicker than the 35mm quartz, coming in at 11.3 as opposed to 9.8, but there is only 7 grams difference between those two versions, just like there were between the auto and the quartz of the larger 40mm. So in sum, oddly enough, the automatic is a little bit thicker and a little bit heavier. In the case of the 35mm though, it is quite a bit thicker. Is that thickness therefore a problem on wrist? No, absolutely not. It still wears very, very nicely indeed. That integrated bracelet does give you a lovely wrist roll because the links are smaller on the 35mm as well. Yeah, very nicely done. Tissot 1853, as they are so proud to tell you that they've been making watches on and off since 1853 on the butterfly clasp there. Now, legibility is okay, it's not a massive watch, and it will depend on which colour dial you go for. If you opt for one of the silver tone versions, yeah, you're going to lose those silver hands against the silver dial, but as it is, this dark green one is pretty reasonable. And there you go, that is a side-by-side comparison of Williams 35mm auto and my 40mm quartz. Yeah, a considerably larger watch to quartz, and that is reflected on wrist as well. That is how the 35mm wears on my 7-inch wrist. That is how the 40mm wears on my 7-inch wrist. If you would like a longer comparison sequence between the two sizes, click on the video at the end where I make an entire 12-minute vid dedicated to exactly that. Two more things we need to talk about though before we wrap up today. The first is the price. This is the Australian list price of the new 35mm auto, 1150. Whereas this is the price of the green dial quartz equivalent, 610 in 35mm. I've never been convinced that it was worth twice the money for the same case and the same bracelet just to go from the quartz to the Powermatic 80 though. And there is the Powermatic 80. 23 jewel hacking and hand winding, Swiss made automatic with, oddly enough, an 80-hour power reserve. That means you can take this watch off on a Friday night, pick it up on a Monday morning, and it's still running, it's still at the right time. That is the big advantage of one of these extended power reserves. Admittedly, to achieve that, they do slow down the beat rate though. This one is 3 Hz, so 21.6 per hour, so only 6 ticks of the second hand per second. You don't get that smooth sweep. Now, opinions on these Powermatic 80s are a little bit mixed, shall we say. They contain a number of plastic parts, rendering them less serviceable than the equivalent ETA 2824 or Sellita 200, for example. When you take your watch back to swatch, if this one breaks down on you in a year's time or something, chances are they will junk the movement and they will simply replace it with a brand new unit. Is that a problem? I don't consider it a particular problem. It's like taking your car for a service and they say, no, it's okay, sir, we're just going to replace the engine with a fresh one. I got no problem with that, but the more romantic among us perhaps will want to have the same beating heart, the same movement repaired rather than replaced. So yeah, do bear that in mind if you are thinking about picking up one of these. So plenty to think about. You need to think about color, you need to think about size, and you need to think about whether or not you really want an automatic movement rather than a quartz. But if you do go for one of these, I think you're getting a sweet little watch that wears very well and is fast becoming a bit of a must-have, a bit of a retro modern classic. So there you have it. You knew before even clicking on this video whether or not you were into this watch. And if you've made it to the back end of the video, I'm guessing you are into this watch. It certainly adds options for people looking to buy a PRX, but it doesn't add the one option a lot of us were hoping for, the 37.5. If Tissot run true to form, I look forward to reviewing the quartz one around the middle of next year and the auto in early 2025. Here's hoping. Thanks again to William for the loan of your watch. Very much appreciated, mate. While you're here, why not check out my original review of the quartz or the comparison between the two sizes. Thanks again. I'll see you in a future video.